Kai Rondel, heir of the dual mind, in shadows cast by ancient fears, where whispered secrets chill the air, there lies the truth of countless years, in hearts that hold despair. Once gentle souls, with dreams so bright, now cloaked in darkness, lost in night, their hearts, once pure, now marred by blight, consumed by endless fight. They faced the monsters, teeth and claw, survived the night, endured the maw, but in their hearts, a silent war, the deepest scar, the fatal flaw. For hate, a seed, can take its root in fertile ground where pain has soot, and soon it blooms, a twisted fruit, where love and hope once stood astute. These gentle hearts, now filled with spite, transform in dark, forsaken light, become the monsters they did fight, their souls eclipsed, their dreams in flight. The cycle turns, as shadows blend, the line twixt foe and friend will bend, until we choose and comprehend that hate must find its end. For in the mirror, truth is shown, the monsters we've become are known. To break the cycle, seeds must be sown, of love, for all, in hearts of stone. Prologue. Shadows of the past in the subterranean depths of an archaic temple, cloaked in an oppressive darkness that felt as ancient as time itself, a ritual was underway. The air throbbed with a malevolent energy, pulsating in time with the rhythmic chanting of hooded figures. Their voices, a dissonant chorus that echoed through the cavernous space, invoked powers from a realm beyond human comprehension. At the center of this unholy ceremony stood a young boy, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and morbid fascination. Kai Rondel, heir to the dual mind, was about to undergo a transformation that would forever alter the course of his life. He was a vessel, chosen for his unique bloodline, a conduit for the immense power that surged beneath the temple's foundations. As the ritual reached its crescendo, a wave of energy washed over Kai, searing his senses with its raw potency. It felt as though 1,000 suns had ignited within him, their heat coursing through his veins, burning away his childhood innocence and replacing it with a burgeoning darkness. He cried out, his voice a mere whisper against the cacophony of the ritual, but his scream echoed in the depths of his soul. The hooded figures watched as Kai writhed in agony, their faces hidden behind grotesque masks that seemed to leer with sadistic glee. They knew the pain he was enduring was but a prelude to the power he would wield, a power that would bend reality to his will. But with this power came a curse, a duality that would forever plague Kai's existence. When the ritual concluded, Kai lay on the cold stone floor, his body trembling from the ordeal. The chanting had ceased, the hooded figures vanished like phantoms, leaving him alone in the suffocating darkness. He rose unsteadily, his legs weak, his mind reeling from the onslaught of sensations that had assaulted him. In the dim light of the flickering torches, Kai caught a glimpse of his reflection in a polished obsidian mirror. He recoiled in horror. His once bright eyes now glowed with an eerie luminescence, his features hardened with an unnatural maturity. The ritual had not only awakened the power within him, it had also unleashed a darkness that mirrored his newfound abilities. Kai was no longer just a boy, he was the heir of the dual mind, destined to walk a path shrouded in shadow. He would learn to control the power that coursed through him, to harness the darkness that threatened to consume him. But he would never escape the duality that defined him, the constant battle between light and darkness that raged within his soul. As he stumbled out of the temple, leaving behind the echoes of the ritual, Kai knew that his life would never be the same. He was a creature of two worlds, a being of immense power and a vessel for the darkness that lurked in the shadows. The path before him was fraught with peril, but he was determined to face his destiny head-on. For he was Kai Rondel, heir of the dual mind, and his journey had just begun. Chapter 1. Haunted beginnings. The spectral glow of the moon, a pale orb hanging in the inky sky, barely pierced the veil of darkness that shrouded Kai Rondel's chamber. It cast elongated shadows that danced menacingly on the walls, their silent movements echoing the turmoil that raged within Kai's mind. He tossed and turned in his bed, his breath coming in ragged gasps as he wrestled with the demons of his slumber. In his nightmares, he was back in the temple, the chanting of hooded figures reverberating in his ears, their masked faces twisted in a grotesque mockery of joy. The ritual played out in agonizing detail, the searing pain of the energy coursing through his veins, the burning away of his innocence, the dawning realization of the darkness that had taken root in his soul. He awoke with a start, his heart pounding in his chest, his body slick with cold sweat. The nightmares had become a nightly torment, a constant reminder of the power that surged within him and the darkness that threatened to engulf him. He rose from his bed and stumbled to the window, his bare feet silent on the cold stone floor. The city of Rondel sprawled before him, a sprawling labyrinth of dimly lit streets and imposing buildings, a testament to the wealth and power of his lineage. But to Kai, it was a prison, a cage that confined him to a destiny he didn't choose. He longed to escape, to flee from the shadows that haunted him, but he knew that his fate was inexorably linked to the city and its dark secrets. A wave of nausea washed over him as he remembered the events of the ritual. He could still feel the touch of the hooded figures, their cold, skeletal hands leaving a chilling imprint on his skin. The memory of their chanting sent shivers down his spine, their voices a haunting echo that whispered promises of power and whispered threats of damnation. "Why me?" Kai whispered to the night, his voice barely audible above the rustling of the leaves outside his window. "Why was I chosen for this burden?" He had no answers, only questions that gnawed at his soul. He was a prisoner of his bloodline, a victim of circumstances beyond his control. He was Kai Rondel, heir of the dual mind, and his life was a never-ending struggle between the light and darkness that resided within him. As he stood at the window, gazing out at the moonlit city, a sense of foreboding washed over him. He knew that his nightmares were more than just bad dreams, they were a premonition of the darkness that was encroaching upon his world. He could feel it in the air, a palpable sense of dread that chilled him to the bone. Kai turned from the window, his resolve hardening. He would not succumb to the darkness, he would fight it with every fiber of his being. He would master the power that surged within him, harness it for good, and use it to protect the people he cared about. He would not let the shadows of his past dictate his future. With a newfound determination, Kai returned to his bed, pulling the covers up to his chin. He closed his eyes, but sleep eluded him. He knew that the nightmares would return, but he was ready for them. He would face them head-on, just as he would face the darkness that threatened to consume him. Chapter 2. The hidden wound sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows of the Grand Cathedral, casting a kaleidoscope of colors across the marble floor. The air was thick with the scent of incense, a cloying sweetness that mingled with the musk of centuries-old books. In the hushed silence, the rhythmic scratching of a quill against parchment was the only sound. Kylam, the high cleric of Rondel, sat hunched over his desk, his face illuminated by the flickering light of a candle. His eyes, usually so vibrant and full of life, were dull and sunken, shadowed by the weight of a secret that gnawed at his soul. He paused in his writing, his fingers tracing the intricate carvings on the hilt of a dagger that lay beside him. The dagger was not a mere weapon, it was a relic, imbued with a power that transcended the mortal realm. It was a gift from the Eldritch Ones, beings of immense power and enigmatic motives, who resided in the ethereal plane that bordered Rondel. They had chosen Kylam as their emissary, bestowing upon him the dagger as a symbol of their favor. But the dagger was not a blessing, it was a curse. It pulsed with a malevolent energy, a dark echo of the Eldritch One's power, that whispered promises of power and dominion. It tempted Kylam with visions of grandeur, of a world where he was not just a high cleric, but a ruler, a god among men. He resisted the urge to grasp the dagger, knowing that to do so would be to surrender to the darkness that lurked within it. He had seen firsthand the corrupting influence of the Eldritch One's power, the way it twisted and warped the minds of those who succumbed to its allure. He would not allow himself to become another of their puppets. Kylam rose from his desk, his joints creaking with the weight of his years. He crossed the room to a hidden alcove, where a mirror of polished silver hung on the wall. He gazed at his reflection, his eyes searching for any sign of the corruption that he feared was taking root within him. He saw a man who was weary, worn down by the burden of his secret. His face was etched with lines of worry, his shoulders stooped with the weight of his responsibilities. But beneath the facade of fatigue, there was a flicker of defiance, a spark of hope that refused to be extinguished. Kylam turned from the mirror, his resolve renewed. He would not succumb to the darkness, he would fight it with every ounce of his strength. He would find a way to break the curse of the dagger, to free himself from the Eldritch One's influence. He would not let their power consume him. With a heavy heart, Kylam returned to his desk, picking up his quill once more. He continued his writing, the words flowing onto the parchment in a steady stream. He wrote of his struggles, his fears, and his hopes. He wrote of the darkness that threatened to engulf him and the light that he clung to with all his might. He wrote until the candle had burned down to a nub, its flickering flame casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. He wrote until his hand cramped and his eyes grew heavy. He wrote until sleep finally claimed him, carrying him away from the burden of his secret, if only for a few fleeting hours. Chapter 3. Echoes of despair. The desolate expanse of the Obsidian Plains stretched before Kai, a haunting panorama of jagged rocks and withered trees. A chilling wind whispered through the skeletal branches, carrying with it the scent of decay and the echoes of despair. Kai's heart pounded in his chest, a rhythmic counterpoint to the haunting silence that enveloped him. "This place," Maeve whispered, her voice barely a breath, "it reeks of sorrow." Maeve, the enigmatic healer who had joined Kai on his quest, stood beside him, her eyes veiled with a melancholic mist. Her touch was gentle, her presence a soothing balm against the encroaching darkness. "The spirits here are restless," Kai murmured, his voice tinged with a spectral sorrow. "They cry out for release, for an end to their torment." A flicker of empathy ignited in Maeve's eyes. "Their pain resonates with mine," she confessed, her voice a fragile echo. "I, too, carry the burden of a shattered past." Their journey had led them to this desolate wasteland, a place where the boundaries between life and death blurred, where the echoes of the past clung to the present with tenacious claws. Kai sensed the presence of lost souls, their anguished cries echoing through the barren landscape. As they ventured deeper into the Obsidian Plains, a figure emerged from the shadows, his form cloaked in a tattered cloak. Dorian, a freedom fighter haunted by the ghosts of his past, his face etched with the lines of sorrow and regret. "The dual mind has corrupted this land," Dorian rasped, his voice raspy from disuse. "It feeds on despair, on the shattered fragments of our souls." Kai nodded, a silent acknowledgement of the truth in Dorian's words. The dual mind, the malevolent entity that had shattered their world, sought to consume all that was good and pure, leaving behind only a desolate wasteland of despair. Maeve reached out, her touch a gentle caress on Dorian's arm. "We are here to help," she assured him, her voice a soothing balm against the harsh reality of their situation. "We will fight back against the darkness, together." Dorian's eyes, dulled with sorrow, flickered with a spark of hope. "Together," he repeated, his voice a whisper. "Together, we may yet find redemption." The trio forged a bond in the face of despair, their individual sorrows intertwining into a tapestry of shared pain. Kai, burdened by the weight of his lineage, found solace in Maeve's empathy and Dorian's unwavering determination. As they continued their journey, the Obsidian Plains revealed its secrets, unveiling the hidden horrors that lurked beneath its desolate surface. The spirits of the damned rose from the shadows, their tormented cries echoing through the barren landscape. Kai, Maeve, and Dorian fought side by side, their powers intertwined, their spirits united against the encroaching darkness. They faced the horrors of the Obsidian Plains with unwavering courage, their bond deepening with each shared victory. In the depths of despair, they found hope. In the echoes of sorrow, they discovered the strength to fight back. The Obsidian Plains may have been a wasteland of shattered dreams, but it also served as a crucible for their resilience, forging a bond that would withstand the trials to come.